Welcome to our first member talk series of this year and the fourth since we started last year. Special welcome to our new members to the IBC fold. And also special thanks to Mr. Somnath Adya, Managing Director, SBI Mauritius, Mr. Vibhu Mishra and his team for having continuously allowed us this beautiful conference hall to we are all assembling today when India has successfully landed the Chandrayaan yesterday. And this is a part of celebration. And I read out a message congratulating ISRO. Warmest congratulations to ISRO and the entire nation of India on the success of Chandrayaan 2. Your unwavering commitment, Chandrayaan 3, Your unwavering commitment to space exploration and technological excellence is a source of pride for everyone. May this achievement inspire even greater achievements in the field of space science and research. By the way, this is not what I wrote. This was written by ChatGPT, the power of AI, which we are going to talk today.
I thought Shashi wrote.
A lot has happened in AI recently, and it has literally exploded. We know ChatGPT has taken us by storm. Perhaps the company is also exploding, we don't know. And then the introduction of Google Bard. But let us be reminded that this is not new. It has been there in existence for almost 70 years. In fact, AI is as old as independent India. In 1950, Isaac Asimov proposed 3 laws of AI. In 81, the first AI-based program was ready. In 51, in 1959, MIT set up the AI lab. In 61, the first robo was introduced by GM in the assembly plant. In 74, first autonomous vehicle was created in the Stanford AI laboratory. In 1997, the historic thing happened. IBM Deep Blue beat Gary Kasparov in chess. In fact, I think all of us remember that. And 2009, Google self-driving car project started. So we can go on, and I'm sure today's discussion will be more focused on that. We are all using AI. Some of us are aware about it, some of us are not aware. It's in the natural language processing and translation, image recognition, all our photographs which gets assembled at every second day, third day and starts showing on our cameras. Autonomous vehicles are already there. Recommendation on media consumptions, whatever you are using in YouTube and Facebook, a lot of things pops out. We have AI-powered virtual assistants. We are all using it. AI's integration in household equipment, making smart homes, and AI's application in robotics. So a lot of it we are using, but I think we are at a situation now, and particularly in the last 5 to 7 years, AI is exploding. And that is why we thought this is something which will be interesting. And also the fact that we have a lot of the IT geeks around us. So I thought this is a great opportunity to have this discussion. And we'll now start the discussion forum. And just to introduce our speakers, of course, you all know them each pretty well. We have Vivek Mathur. Vivek did his master's in computer science, and after stint in the industry, including setting up a major data center over here. Vivek started Cloud Factory in 2015, and since then has grown pretty strongly, working in multiple areas, and his area of geographic coverage goes beyond Africa to Europe also. We have Vishal Singh. Vishal is the Senior Vice President and Head of Africa of Intellect Design. Intellect Design is one of the major IT companies, and in fact is very unique in terms of a company which controls about 20% of central banking software. And this is very, very big. In fact, banking software, a lot of people do, but central banking software is very, very special. And this is where Intellect Design and Vishal's team are pretty strong. They have offices in Kenya and Mauritius. Sandeep Charger, though looks very young, is very, very accomplished. Sandeep is the Group Chief Operating Officer of Peach Payments. He has over 2 decades long experience in banking, fintech, and financial market. He's also the founder director of Grand Bazaar of India, operating in Mauritius and India. If you want some discount, maybe this is the right connection. Sandeep is an engineer. He's a chartered alternate investment analyst also. So now we will start our discussion. But we would really like it to be interactive. So in fact, AI is not something which is new. AI is something which is happening in a big way. So we would like a very, very interactive seminar. Thank you. My first question to all of you, we'll start with Vivek. Vivek, how has AI transformed your industry? Right.
So before we talk about that, let's talk about what is AI. So AI is a machine which is trying to mimic human behavior, right? At the end of the day, that's what it's trying to do. It could be in a natural language, it could be on a visuals or any other. Now, this impacts across the industry. There has been a huge impact of AI. For us, because we work in a industry agnostic way, not necessarily with a one particular industry, we have seen the adoption of AI taking shape across multiple industries in very different ways. There are 2 areas where I can cite some use cases where we are seeing huge adoption of AI happening. Is one of them would be healthcare, where we are closely working, and the other would be in the area of compliance. So compliance, we have seen organizations who are required for some regulatory need or for other purpose to classify their information, how they can use AI to shift through humongous volume of data and classify documents based on certain keywords or trends or certain other parameters which might be an intellectual property to them or something which is very proprietary to them and not something which is closely available. Now, in healthcare, there are projects that we are working where we see that clinicians who are required to create treatment plan, they are using AI to help them correlate the information from multiple sources and create a treatment plan which is actually aiding them to see if there has been an oversight on them. So has this changed in industries? A lot. We see it among every type of industry. There is an impact, and I think this will just continue to grow.
Sandeep, what is your experience?
So just echoing Vivek's thoughts that, what is AI doing? AI is collating multiple data points in millions and replicating what an ideal knowledgeable human being would do, right? Using all of those data points. Now we operate Peach Payments, that is in the payments sector, which is heavy transactional work, right? Millions of transactions pass through our systems on a daily basis, right? Which opens, transactions, when I say transactions, when you pay online, those transactions pass through our systems for whichever company is using the system. Now, multiple data points, multiple possibilities of fraud. We are all aware of, how card fraud happens. We've evolved from teams manually monitoring transactions in terms of, what is the deviation from the norm while these transactions go through, right? Hence, there is, there could be a deviation, there could be a risk, there has been risk. Recently, there was a report in Kenya that 42% of online transactions are potential fraud transactions, right? So one use case, either you manually do it or you do it in an automated manner, which is using artificial intelligence. So we implemented 120 algorithms, just to use as an example, which in real time detect potential fraud, right? What can be a fraud? I'm using a card from one country, but my identity is from another country, and I'm doing a transaction in a third country. Potential signal of fraud, right? As an example. So of course, as the transactions increase, the volume increases, the algorithms do the work and stop the transaction and flag it, right? As an example. Hence, reducing potential fraud. The other thing is, one of the key use cases is operational efficiency, right? We've seen it across financial sector, financial services sector. The time, let's say you apply for a banking application, the time it takes from submission to approval, the amount of manual work that happens in the process, right? Same for us, any company that wants to process online payments has to submit multiple documents, right? Those documents go through manual checks and reviews, right? And this is time consuming. It may take a month to approve a particular company to start processing payments online. Now, we built automated onboarding that you submit all the documents. Automated verification happens wherever it needs to happen, whether it is from a KYC perspective, whether it is identity, whether it's business verification, and also the risk checks, for that particular business, whether this is a legit business or not. Automated, right? So that's operational efficiency. The other is customer experience. If you're dealing with 1,000+ companies at scale in different countries, how many people do you need to service the amount of queries that you have? My transaction did not go through. My transaction failed. This customer's trying, but it did not happen. You're doing it for more than 1,000 companies, right? If manually, how many people do you have to deploy to manage that kind of an operation, right? Hence, you've got automated chat engines or chatbots or automated response engines that can cover a lot of the L1 queries, and wherever human is required, it's filtered down to where human intervention is required. So some of the use cases in the financial services industry overall applies for the business that we run and also beyond, right? And
Yeah, thanks, Sandeep. Vishal, you cover the banking and the the insurance industry. What has been your experience?
The advantage of speaking last is everything's already said, so I can just say same as them. So, but nevertheless, I think AI is a way of life today. I mean, though of course there's a lot of marketing noise around it, but you are living AI with AI day in and day out. All the phones that you're using right now are AI equipped. All the gadgets that you use in your house, for example, your fridge was to start with, it is currently controlled by AI. But the level of AI utilized in different things is it varies. Now, what we are hearing most, as both of Sandeep and Vivek mentioned, is the next level of AI where they are trying to, or rather, it's becoming more intelligent. And how does that happen? So again, going back to the basic question of what is AI. So I don't know how many of us understand AI. Of course, it's a computer programming. I will come to the question that you asked me in a minute. It's a computer programming, but just imagine, all of us are sitting here. You have some knowledge, he has some knowledge, he has some knowledge, everybody has some knowledge somewhere. Now imagine if I have the potential sitting here, reading all of your minds and knowing exactly what you're thinking, and if he asks me a question, I can compute a right answer basis all the inputs that I have from you, take the best answer out of it and give it to the third person. That is what AI is. So in a real technology world, all of you are computers, lying in different spaces, different areas, Facebook for that matter, Instagram that matter, where you happily put your photographs and showing yourself smiling. Keep in mind, somebody is tracking it, somebody is managing it, somebody is looking at it. At any given point of time, no matter whatever privacy policies you sign, the fact is that data is the next oil. That's a very cliche term which everybody is hearing. But it is also a potential that data can become a weaponized instrument tomorrow. Whoever holds the highest data will become the most powerful nation or the person. As President Putin of Russia said, the next power is not the nuclear power, is the person who can control the data, right? So that is where the industry is heading, and that's why there is so much of hype around it now. Now coming back to the question of banking, what's happening in banking is, I think one of the most dynamic, areas which requires, and it's a financial thing which matters to all of us very dearly. So more and more innovations are being done to make life easy for the people like us to be able to go to a bank. For example, if I want to open a bank account today, I don't have to go to the bank at all. in some cases where I can do everything online. I can, scan my ID, I can scan my face, I can do everything, post it, and the whole data goes to the bank and bases my credentials, which the bank can have, not only from their own database, but multiple network of banks checking my credentials, whether I'm a good guy, I'm a fraudster, or what is my credit rating, am I trying to escape from somebody, anti-money laundering, all those things combined together, they'll open my account, right? So that is the level of automation which is going to. Same goes for insurance. When you're taking an insurance, they check your background without telling you also that they're checking your background. They only make you sign a document saying we have the right to do inquiry about you. But how's that inquiry happening? It's not happening by emails. It is just going around the wire and coming back to them and saying this. So there's a huge impact from that perspective of AI as to how the information is being, I'll say, received, consumed, and then produced. So I think AI is playing a major role. But don't be under any misconception that it is something going to happen. You're already there, right? It's only getting more refined. For example, we drove cars 10 years back also. We drive cars today also. So what's changed? The car is still the same, but the looks have changed, the features have changed, the power has changed, but the car is still the car, right? Point A to point B, right? So that's how AI is also right now.
Sandeep, this question is for you. How has AI improved operational efficiency, decision making? I know you briefly touched that, and the customer experience in your industry.
Intelligence as a commodity is rare, right? And in a conversation between you and me, it is which opinion weighs higher, unless and until you input data, to take any particular decision. So what's happening? What is artificial intelligence doing? It is a collection of millions of data points, right? It's a collection of millions of data points which are giving you a conclusive result or action, right? Based on what needs to be done in that particular situation, right? I mean, we can take multiple examples. In financial services, as Vishal mentioned, automation of a lot of things that are leading to operational efficiency and better customer experience. In healthcare, if you look at surgeries can happen by robot, can be conducted by robots, right? If we look at automated vehicles, right? I mean, you don't need human intervention to drive a vehicle on the roads, right? So it's all a collection of different situations and data points, which are resulting in an action, right? When you look at, you asked that what is the future, or what is, where is it leading to? Right now, computing capabilities for, let's say, ChatGPT or any of these systems, it may be accurate or not accurate because of the number of data points. It may be running to millions, right? We're heading to quantum computing, where billions of data points, are going to be utilized. And that's how decisions are going to be taken. I've been thinking of this example since quite a few months, that Tesla came out with the automated vehicle, that nobody needs to do anything. You sit in the car, it drives you from location A to location B. Now what has it mimicked? It has mimicked the best human capability in terms of knowledge and action, right? What would a human being do while driving that particular car? Now, in US, it makes sense, right? You've given data points that you have to reach from location A to location B. Your maps work fine. Red light works fine. The traffic lights work fine, right? And there are less factors to put in, right? So n number of data points. You take the same car to India, right? You don't know whether you have to stop on the red light or not, because most of the people are not doing. So artificial intelligence is some way mimicking that action, right? Self-learning or supervised machine learning. You don't know whether you're supposed to drive in this lane or that lane, right? So again, data points increase based on that. The constable stops you. You don't know whether the person's asking for a lift or the person stopping you. Somebody's just asking you to stop. So you don't know what action to take. Again, multiple data points. You have to identify the uniform. You have to know the uniform in each city of the country, and identify the action that needs to be taken place. Hence, from computing, it's a good example of computing to quantum computing. The data points have just become 1000x. Taking a self-driving car from US to India, right? So yes, this is what artificial intelligence is, so that rare commodity of intelligence. It is using multiple data points to take action, and over a period of time, it gets refined, and hence, leading to way better convenience, instant gratification, and operational excellence in whatever we are doing, in whatever industry that we are applying to, right? So, I mean, different situations, different data points. The more data points, the better the accuracy, and the better the output as a result of artificial intelligence.
Okay, so just to add to what Sandeep said, operational efficiency we are also seeing in multiple areas where AI is being used. As I mentioned, what is AI? Software trying to mimic human and various aspects, natural language processing, visuals, and others. Now, use of them in call centers in terms of trying to increase the operational efficiency of a call centers where the call is coming in. The voice is being analyzed using AI to understand the sentiment of the caller. While being on the call, again, the voice is being analyzed to understand if this caller is getting happy or angry or irritated while the call is still on with the support person. And based on that feedback which is coming through an AI to decide should this call be escalated further to somebody more senior who's able to handle it better, or it can stay at the level it is. Multiple answers to the application of AI.
Vishal, what are the key challenges in implementing AI technologies now?
Okay, I think the biggest one is the purity of data. For example, AI is data hungry. It needs to have the right inputs and the right data to ensure that whatever it is producing after reading so many billions or trillions of terabytes of information, it should be able to produce the right results. So the quality of data currently which is existing in, especially in the financial sector, let's say in the banks or in the insurance sector, is something which is quite questionable. When you go to a level where you are looking at, proper general, what you call is a chat GPT kind of a situation in any area. So quality of data is important. Legacy solutions which are running in the environment again become the challenge. How to integrate to solutions which are very old in a given bank or a given insurance sector. Then I think the other part which I will say is even the knowledge base which is existing today in these environments also is a big issue today for people to adapt AI. But having said that, let me also put a caveat on this, that none of these things is detrimental for the financial institutions today not to go for an aggressive strategy towards AI. So if you talk to the CEOs of the banks, central banks, commercial banks, anywhere, everybody has one eye on this area where they want to go in this direction. Some even don't know why and how, but there is a lot of thought which is being put on to say as to how we go into this space of AI. So there is a lot of interest.
Vishal, do they have an option not to go at this stage?
See, it is again, what happens is it's like a catch-22 situation. Some want to go, some don't want to go. Again, the question is when you define this to when do you decide to go for? If you go with the kind of marketing hype which happens in the media, then you should be AI enabled as of yesterday. But if you go from realistic terms, I think before adaptation of AI happens to the level that we are looking at, I think we are still at least around half a decade or little more away from looking at adaptation. Because the ball is rolling fast now. It has already come into the forefront and everybody is vying for. If you remember when we had blockchain, a few years back, blockchain was the call of the day, and blockchain, everybody is talking blockchain. Then suddenly Bitcoin came on top of blockchain. But today, if you look at it, blockchain and Bitcoin, they're still there, but they are down there, right? So I think same thing is happening in case of AI now, because everybody needs some kind of hype to look at, something to look forward to, right? So it is that kind of a situation right now. But the fizz will go. And we will settle down, I think, in another year or two. And we will then see the dust will settle down, then you'll see the reality as to what is actually going to transpire through all this. But chat GPT, generative AI, which has come in, I think they are game changers to a larger extent. And And the biggest fear from deployment perspective, for example, for banks or for any commercial institutions, as Sandeep rightly highlighted, is the compliance and the regulatory part. Many countries still don't know how to draw a boundary or a green zone and saying within this AI is good, beyond this it's not good. So European Union has recently made a legislature to try and sign something and try and box this feature. US is trying to do something, but globally, if you look at, because AI is not one country dependent, it's a global issue, right? So
Vishal,
they are
I think
still
you go to
wondering.
the regulation a little later.
Yeah, okay,
But
sorry.
my question is, if you really look at, banks have already started adopting AI. Like, for example, even a bank like MCB over here, their juice is a face recognition
Correct.
system. So I think things have started, and in
Yes.
fact, to me, it will help at least in many areas in terms of their efficiency, and particularly a place like Mauritius where customers are coming from all over the
Correct.
world.
Yeah. So customer onboarding situations, service-based situations, all those are already in place. That's why I said that we are already living in AI era. We are only looking at enhancing it to the next level now.
Vivek, how do you navigate the balance between utilizing customer data for AI while ensuring data protection?
That's a very interesting and very important question. We have been using two terms. It's good idea to differentiate it between them a bit before we proceed. So AI and Chat GPT, right? So AI has been there since years. We heard Suresh tell us about that AI is as old as Indian independence. But then what happened recently that suddenly it's being hyped? What happened was generative AI. So, which is a generative AI, which is ChatGPT is a good example of that. And I'm sure, is there anybody in this room who has not used ChatGPT so far? If not, okay, right, fine. Okay, so you must go and try it in one shape or another. But what happened was that generative AI, which is a subset of AI, and what makes it so interesting or unique is, and dangerous, generative AI is able to create content, text, images, speech, videos, and these generated content is as good as what a human would have done. Now that's what makes it so interesting to the world, as well as what makes it a little bit on the dangerous side. So we had ChatGPT 3.5, which is easily available. Anybody want to use? It's free. But now we also have ChatGPT 4, which is out. It's for a premium, so there is a paid component behind it, but it is a leap ahead of ChatGPT 3.5, much more advanced, and it's a complete game changer. And you see the use of this generative AI now leading to multiple content being generated, which is actually not by humans, it's by machine, and they very closely resemble what a human would have done. I missed your question, Suresh. Can I ask your question again?
No, I just,
Yeah, okay, no, the privacy.
You
Okay, got
addressed
it.
that.
The privacy part. So now, these generative AI, this has been trained on large set of data. This is how algorithm has been built. So this is how it works. So you have humongous amount of data, whether these are books, internet, encyclopedia, publicly available data, anything. So they have consumed that data and they have connected the dots to create patterns in front of in them, and that has led to algorithms which is helpful in generating this data. Now what happens if an organization want to use generative AI? Is their data being used to train the models which are then available to public? That could be disastrous, because that means my intellectual property is now on the public domain, which I don't want. So what the vendors of the world are doing, at least they claim what they're doing, and I will cite the example of Microsoft because we work closely with them, but I'm sure Google's and Yahoo's and other hyperscale providers will not be very different from that. What they're doing is they're promising you that if you use enterprise generative AI, your data stays within your domain. It will never be used to train their generative AI piece. Rather, you can train internally and it will never leave your organization. So that's how they are promising you, your organization, having an ability to use generative AI to enhance the performance, productivity, efficiency of your staff. At the same time, ensuring that corporate data stays within corporate, even if it's using generative AI and not leaking out.
Vivek, Microsoft has invested in ChatGPT.
That's correct.
So in that case, where do they pick up the data from?
That's again a very interesting, important question, and this is something which all other providers seems to be doing. So ChatGPT, if you are using, this is a separate set of generative AI. If you happen to use something which Microsoft is providing under M365, without trying to sell them over here, they use their own instance of generative AI, which is dedicated for this purpose. So there is a clear demarcation, at least in what they promise and claim. There is a clear demarcation between the public generative AI and the corporate generative AI.
Vishal, this question is for you. How do you envisage collaboration between traditional companies to harness the power of AI for mutual benefit?
So there's a complex one. I think traditional companies, I don't foresee them remain traditional for long. Sooner or later, they'll have to change and adapt to the new environment, because unfortunately, the changes that are coming are quite merciless. They will not have any soft corner for anybody who says, "Oh, I like the old ways of doing things." They will be, unfortunately, put into oblivion. So I think AI is here to stay, as I said in the beginning. So all the rest of industries, whether it's financial or manufacturing and services industries, everybody will have to move in line to see as to how they can adapt sooner to get into this mainstream. There is no other option there. There is no option that we can stay still the current way and continue our way of business. It will not work. Unfortunately.
Thank you. My next question, Sandeep, is for you. What are the next big breakthroughs that will happen in AI in your sector?
So, I mean, today, I would say the financial sector is evolving at a faster pace as compared to some of the other sectors in terms of adoption of AI, right? And again, I mean, echoing what Vishal mentioned and Vivek in certain instances, that any transactional business has a lot of data points, right? There are a lot of data points that can be used for predictive analytics. Based on past patterns, you can decide or you can forecast or foresee what's going to happen in the future, right? I mean, if I have a transaction pattern, artificial intelligence can tell me that I'm going to, or I'm most likely to make a transaction at this time, this day, and this date. And beyond my comprehension, it may be more accurate, right? And I might do it based on those circumstances, right? So any transactional data, whether it is financial services or airlines, comprising of banking or trading or stock markets. So all that data combined can give a lot of predictive overview or insights for a lot of businesses, right? I mean, in the payments industry, we work with a lot of businesses, and we have all that data where we can provide them insights in terms of what's your customer transaction pattern, and what could be your potential business strategy based on that. Now we run a clothing business, and I usually call it a tech and data-driven business as compared to clothing as a product. This is another line of things, but based on understanding of analytics, we try to use a lot of analytics in that as well, which is predictive, right? I mean, what product sells at what time of the year, in what particular location. You can get those insights based on the transaction pattern of over 1,000 customers, right? And that's something, I mean, using that, we saw a 15% change in output in terms of revenue generation based on the usage of data year on year. I mean, we implemented it last year. And I mean, that's the power of any business that is transactional at large. And that, I feel, is the big opportunity for transactional businesses.
Vivek, what are your thoughts on that?
See, the use of AI will work if it is democratized, which means that it has to be made available to each worker within an organization. So if it is kept to few, and if it is kept at a level that it is not accessible to the workers or the people who are working on the on a daily basis on that, I don't think it will get a result. Now, how do you do that? How do you make AI available to the members where it really matter? You need to embed it with the tools they are using on a daily basis, and that's the right way to talk about AI in terms of how it can make an impact for an organization. It will make an impact for an organization, if you are able to bring it to everybody who matters in that organization in terms of the work which can benefit from it, productivity enhancements, ease of decision making, decision support, and so on. And the people who are using the AI, they need to get access without themselves they being a techie or a data scientist. And the best way is the workflows which are currently in use, the tools which are currently in use, can AI be embedded in that so that it can help the staff members do better than what they are able to do just on their own. Now, there is a very interesting term that is being used by, again, by Microsoft. They call it co-pilot. So you have autopilot, where you have put the entire plane being flown by somebody autonomously, but no, that's not the idea. Idea is to use AI as a co-pilot, where it is aiding your decision making, it's enhancing you in terms of as a human being with your own productivity and efficiency, but it's not replacing you.
Thanks, Vivek. Vishal, I think a lot of talk that is going on in terms of job losses, retraining. So what are your views on the workforce and the young students to be future ready in this age of AI? Considering, and of course, I would also like you to highlight which sectors are going to be, decimated.
I know. It's the most emotionally sensitive topic, job losses. If you look at how technology has evolved over the years, I think I can ask all of you to probably rewind 25, 30 years, should not be too long. I think all of us were there still, right? I'll give you a very simple example. Whenever you went to your house, for example, there used to be somebody who used to open the door, and the car will go in, and then this guy will close the door, right? But when you go today, click, door opens, car goes and click, the guy's gone, right? So, do we call that job loss? I think it's more of reassigning, because that guy who used to open the door probably has been reassigned, or he has skilled himself up to do something different. So again, job loss to a large extent, I think, is a very personal notion as to how people look at it. But from industry perspective, yes, you have to scale yourself up. As I gave an example of a guy who was only used to opening a door, but once that got automated, he skilled himself up and started doing something different. So I think scaling up from that angle is important. So I think a lot of people will enhance, but there will be, for sure, there will be a temporary phase which will come, which will rattle the industry a little bit, and people will feel a little restless, and there will be some impact on that. To say, will it be a zero-sum game? It will not be a zero-sum game. There will be some heartbreaks which will happen when this transition takes place. But as I said, every transition is not overnight. It happens very gradually and over a period of time. So everybody has ample time to figure out as to how you want to be part of this cycle. So it's very, as I said in the beginning, it's a very individual decision. That do you want to be a job lost guy, or do you want to do something to enhance yourself and be ready for the next change? So I think that is what will have the maximum impact. But yes, industry is here for a big change. I think next 5 years we will see a lot of things happening from this aspect.
Thanks, Vishal. Sandeep, any thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts have gone back to 200 years, or maybe more, a few centuries. I think the coming of the machine, industrial revolution, coming of the computer, I think the same question would have been asked, right? So, I mean, humans adapt, humans evolve, depending on what the external situation is, right? And I think that's what will happen. I mean, AI is probably another wave of this revolution that's happening, or other transformation that's happening. Now, if you look at today, in addition to mathematics, coding has become a subject, right? Similar to mathematics, coding has become a subject. Every parent is more or less teaching, even if it's not part of the curriculum, because you may think that this may become the big thing, right? Similarly, the next step is, again, one step ahead is, okay, artificial intelligence and its applications. So industry, I mean, will evolve. People will start learning. Short-term impact would be there. A lot of mundane jobs which are repetitive, would be taken away, and algorithms will be doing it, or robots will be doing it. When I say robots, robotic process automation or machine learning, supervised or unsupervised. So they'll definitely take over some of the mundane jobs. So hence upskilling and right skilling. So yes, I mean, there will be an impact short term, but long term adaptation will also happen.
Vivek, please add.
Right. Very interesting one. So if you see historically, every decade or so, there has been a big transformation. If you go back in history, mainframe computers, client-server architecture, distributed computing, internet, apps, cloud, 10 years gaps, right? So this has been seen historically that around 10 years, there is something which as a major technology comes and it disrupts the industry. So we seems to be not 10 years, but possibly 12 or 13 years. We can discount some time for COVID. Now it has come. Now, why AI is happening now? Because the situation is right. What is the situation or the factors that were needed for AI to happen? Few of them, 3 of them to be precise. One is the availability of large set of information or data which is accessible by organization, whether public or corporate. B, access to huge amount of computing power, cloud computers, right? Cloud computing. And third is the availability of algorithms. So if as an organization I want to leverage AI, I don't have to hire data scientists and make them write algorithms for me. Algorithms are available by the vendors and I can pay and use them. And these 3 things have combined together to bring the AI. Now question comes is it going to lead to job losses? Let's take one of the example. I think some of them were already cited. Not so long back, there used to be a job where people used to sit in a telecommunication industry and operate on a switchboard. And the entire job they used to do every day was to connect the calls by moving on a switchboard, right? So anything that is dull, repetitive, dangerous, there is a high probability that AI is going to replace that. Now, will that result in job losses? Not necessarily. It will result in human capacity to increase, to enhance our own productivity and efficiency. And also it will help people move up the value chain and go to profile which possibly make their life better. Yes, there will be a duration 2-3 years why this disruption happens and the impact will be felt. But I believe it's an opportunity to enhance our each individual and to make people better than what they are today.
Yeah, just let me add something to that. See, the interesting part is, unlike during, as I said, 25-30 years back, the access to knowledge and information was very limited to a handful of people, only who could afford it, right? But today, if you look at, around, from whichever level of society or people that you look at, everybody has a phone today, a smartphone, right? More or less. And access to knowledge today is universal. It is no longer restricted that I know something more and you know something less. It just takes 2 seconds for you to type something on Google and probably you will have some idea about it, right? So now because of that reason, while AI is coming up as a result of that knowledge being multiplied many times, at the same time the human intellect also is risen to a different level altogether, right? So there is a point where there will be a match where the human intellect will be equally higher as against whatever the machine is doing, right? The only thing is we humans, the way our mind is, we want to perfect something which is as good as us, and that is where they say in Hindi the Lakshman Rekha is who draws that and who decides that beyond this we will not go, right? That is where the risk of AI comes in. But otherwise, knowledge base is concerned. If you have ChatGPT today, as Sandeep rightly highlighted, you type something today. If you have a smartphone, you download, you will get the same information, which probably all of us can have the same viewpoint, right? So the information and knowledge today is universal. It's a matter of few clicks here and there, and you have it in your hand, and it doesn't remain to the elite segment. It can start from the ground level up to anybody, because thanks to the telecommunication technology advancements that we have in this industry. So I think it will be a very interesting to see how the human segment scales up from that angle to compete with this AI capability. So there will be a situation, if I can predict, let's say next 30 years, of a machine sitting here like me and maybe talking and answering questions which are being asked by humans and being challenged by humans, right? Because the knowledge what the machine will have, only advantage it will have is it has more data touch points to pick it up. But the rational capacity of the human mind is still something which very difficult to put, because emotions is what defines humans, right? So emotions which defines us, and if the emotions is what controls us. So that rational part of the mind, whether it can be inculcated into a machine or AI or whatever you want to call it, is still subjective. But yes, to be honest, efforts are being made to do that also, right?
Vishal, since you talked about it, there has been a lot of talks about like a nuclear bomb, when a scientist made it, and nuclear bomb cannot replicate itself.
Yes.
But there is a worry that AI can replicate knowledge itself and
Yes.
can become destructive also. I mean,
Yes.
just think there are a lot of positive aspects, but that's an aspect I want you to address.
No, you're absolutely right. I think the access of knowledge to an AI is far higher and faster than humans. For example, as I gave an example at the beginning, let's assume that we are all humans sitting here right now. Let's assume that you have one thought or you have learned something right now, right? But as a human, when you learn something, it just remains with you, right? Till you tell her and then you tell somebody else, but it remains with you. But in AI, what happens when you learn something, everybody knows it. So that's the power of knowledge. It instantly gets shared by everybody. So you can see how it can be magnified multifold at any given point of time. The thing is that when this machine goes to a level where it starts generating its own thought process, minus the emotion part, because now it is only working with algorithms, right? It is saying this is good, this is bad, this is not good, this is not bad. So when it starts thinking from that perspective, and when it becomes into a capacity where it has basis whatever it's understanding, it starts taking decisions that yes, according to me, this is right, and this is how it should be, and becomes focus in that area is where the challenge becomes for humans how to handle that. And that section is where people say the scare is it can start a World War III. It can start a World War III. For example, if AI goes into a situation where it animates Putin giving a speech saying that I've just launched a missile at somebody else, and by the time the Americans interpret that message, that AI has already sent a message, let's say to different departments because it's so well wired, saying that this message is genuine and you go ahead and do it. People start pressing the buttons. So those are the areas where checks and balances is very important, and that's why Elon Musk, who's of Tesla owner, and I like his statement which he says AI can be the end of mankind. He doesn't mean AI can be the end of mankind because AI will destroy mankind. AI can enable the processes which can destroy the mankind. And he says that's why it's very, very important that while it is good to go this path, to have these green zones or proper legislations, proper controls defined to make sure that there are certain kind of checks and balances in all these development areas, right? So I think that is the biggest challenge that we have right now.
Vishal, thank you.
Can I just add to that one?
Yeah, sure.
Very quickly.
So there was a project which was tried at a bank, and the effort was to see if AI can be used for loan approval, right? Requires a lot of data points. It's a process, so can AI use? And so the AI was trained on the existing data of the bank, previous loans approved and so on, and it was put on a pilot to see how it works. To everybody's astonishment, it was found that the AI is approving the loan of male more than females. Right? Now, question comes is why? Why it was happening is because it took the biases of the loan officers who were biased towards approving the loans of male more than female because they found them to be somehow more eligible, right? So machine is right now learning from human data only. If there is a biases which is coming in, it's because of us, because that's how the data is. Now, what need to be seen? So far we can control that. So that's an area where we have to be careful about that. What are we teaching the machine, right? And there are good actors and there are bad actors in this world. But where the tipping point will, the next tipping point will come is when machines start generating data and other machines learn from them. We are yet to see how it pans out.
Sorry, just one more point to add. So, I mean, to your point and continuing on that emotion is also a data point, right? And that's where neural intelligence and neural networks and, cognitive biases are become part of that self-learning process of artificial intelligence. Recently, I think a few months back, Bard, which is the Google equivalent of ChatGPT. So in Bangladesh, was it that you were asking the question and it's responding in Bengali, and that data point was not fed, or Bard was not trained for that. But that was a self-learning mechanism that it understood that this is the location, this is the region, this is what the language that people speak, and it started responding in Bengali, and there was a statement made by Sundar Pichai, right? So that we never planned for this, right? So the thing is, the unknown is unknown. We never planned for it, right? So, and that's where I think regulation becomes important. It needs to be regulated, something that's been emphasized by, at different stages, Elon Musk, you mentioned, Sam Altman, who founded ChatGPT, or the CEO of ChatGPT, multiple others, right? I mean, there are a lot of motions across the world in terms of it could be a potential weapon of mass destruction, like any other thing that is unregulated and out of control. So we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah. In fact, we talked about challenges, but when I look at what AI can become in the next 5-10 years, there are a lot of positives. So in that context, can we start with Vivek? What do you think would be positives for Mauritius, and how can a country like Mauritius equip itself for the AI revolution and take advantage of it?
Many positive. There is so much we can do with AI, and starting with very basic thing or basic aspect, which is as a professional, what I do in a day, can I enhance my productivity efficiency by use of a co-pilot, which can be given to me. Quick example, just putting it to some practical example. If anybody of you over here use Zoom or Teams 2-3 times in a day, you will very well understand how difficult it can be to go in a meeting but afterward track what needs to be done, right? Now imagine Teams where you can go in a meeting. If you are not a native English speaker, and if the discussion is happening in English, you are able to see it in French or any other language for that matter, number one. Number two, imagine if after the end of the meeting, you are able to receive a summary of the meeting, which is not a chat script. No, it's not a text converted from the speech. Rather, a proper summary of the meeting, that these are the key points, this is what was discussed, these are the actions allocated to these people, and these are the timelines. Right? Will it not be wonderful? So the good news for you is this is already available. right? We are not talking anything which will happen. It is already there today. It's all these things which I spoke are already available.
Can teams make minutes of meeting?
It can go beyond that. It is not making only the minutes of the meeting, it's summarizing with an action point that whose name was called out where and what he committed to do and on what date. This is available.
Mr. Gupta is going to implement it tomorrow.
Just certainly, but we will explore that.
Absolutely. This is available.
Teams, this option is there.
Yeah, these options are available depending upon which
Package.
package you are on.
Okay, we'll keep the sales pitch. Okay. So what are the other positives you think for
Yeah.
Mauritius? Because I think Mauritius always, like I've been here for about 8 years. We have been hearing a lot of positives. I know my friend from EDB is here. The same pitch about Mauritius being the gateway. What sort of advantage? Because we have limitation of number of people, limitation in terms of labor, a limitation in terms of trained manpower. How can, in this context, with AI, Mauritius can leapfrog?
I think there is no one straight answer to that, Suresh. I believe every aspect of work on this island can be positively impacted with the right adoption of AI. Every industry can benefit from that, and there has been always a vision of this government which has been to go up the value chain. This has been a statement which has been used in multiple times, even during the budget speech. And so, starting from from the IT, if we take as a call center provider, to going up the value chain and providing more high value, high services, right? Now, AI can be used across all those industries, and I personally believe every industry can benefit from that. What we need is a few things in place. One, there has to be an AI-driven culture in the organization, and AI-driven culture which is also strategically aligned to the main strategic plan, which is completely aligned to the main strategic plan of the organization. I think that's one of the requirements, and of course, we need the resources who are well trained on AI.
Sandeep, what are your views? And like you are operating in an industry which is using AI already in a big way.
I think a statement that will make my wife happy is probably a robotic house help.
Maybe there to an extent, in a small way.
I don't know. Smaller. But I mean, if you look at Mauritius, what is contributing in a big way to the GDP of the country is your offshore sector, international financial sector. Now, I'm aware of this great initiative of the central bank of creating the central KYC system. So it's a central repository of the information pertaining to a particular individual who may have a bank account, or an organization which may have a bank account, right? I mean, creating a central repository. So there's something that happened in the telecom sector in India a couple of years back that facilitated interoperability, right? I could switch my SIM card from one operator to the other, keeping the number, as same number portability. Now, if you have the central KYC today, if I have to go and open an account with Bank A, I submit, half a kg of documents. I go to Bank B, another quarter of a kg of documents, given there. So, it's repetitive information that's going to different institutions and organizations for doing similar kind of an activity. And if we have a central repository, something that India has done with the Aadhaar card, it facilitates faster onboarding and activation, right? And we're not talking about one or two transactions, we're talking of bulk or volumes of transactions which are happening in the domestic sector. So, I understand that this project starts at a domestic level, right? What does artificial intelligence do into this? So the base level machine learning is supervised machine learning, where you identify, it's like match the following, right? I've applied, it matches me to my photograph, to my details and everything, and approves my application from Bank A to Bank B to a service C that I may be looking at, right? And if you take it one step ahead, right? Now, what is the strength of Mauritius? The offshore sector, right? Globally, if you have an application, you make an application, it goes through the entire process, right? From A to B, which is time consuming for a lot of the international organizations. Recently, I was trying to, incorporate a company in Delaware, right? Just trying to see what the process is. And it is instant, right? So it is taking my information, it is doing my identity verification, it's doing my risk verification, it is doing my organization verification in a fraction of a second, and the company goes live.
Vishal, to interject you there, I mean, that's something Mauritius should learn, isn't it? Because what you are saying to do in terms of what the central bank is doing is we are talking about 1.3 million people over here. But that's very limiting. Mauritius is not for this 1.3 million people. In fact, it's an international financial center. My own experience when I was in the bank, that account opening used to take a lot of time. I think possibly now it takes more time than it used to take earlier. How do we take, I mean, how does AI come into the rescue and make Mauritius very efficient?
Exactly. So based on the compliance parameters that are set, prescribed by the central bank, adopted by the banks, implemented by the regulators, into the operators, which are the offshore management companies, right? So once you apply those rules and parameters and get integrated into the international KYC verification organization. So this is what Delaware is doing. This is what Gift City in Gujarat is looking at implementing. So the thing is, the time to go live, if it is 1 month as compared to a few milliseconds in another country.
But those KYC data are there. In fact, there are global systems which are offering this KYC data, but it is being manually checked.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, to convert that to AI or when you say machine learning, this thing should not be difficult to my mind.
Absolutely.
I think you are an expert. You better because you have been working with the central bank.
To be honest, I really don't know as to what is stopping this country from being what it wants to be. It is beyond my rational mind, to be honest.
No, I think from an opportunity point of view.
But yeah, because I think the country has everything. It is projecting itself as international financial hub, but the infrastructure-wise, the support-wise, it doesn't seem to be existing. And that's why I wonder.
That's why, Vishal, you have to help.
True. So yes. But while we are doing that, just to share with you, in fact, as we speak, we are doing a complete digital transformation of the central bank in this country, where our implementations are going on, and they will be completely digitized by coming first quarter of the coming year. But having said that, what astonishes me is the pace of doing things. It can be, according to me, done much faster. So I don't know why and what stopped them.
One question. See, a simple question that suppose you have a big data center and you have a space for storing my data, and then you allocate a space to me. That is what you said, that the big data storage companies say that we keep data within your area of space allocated to you. But whether you will have access to my data?
So this will depend upon whom the question is being asked. There are data centers providers of all shape and size in this world, and you have what we call as hyperscale providers. Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, Oracle will fall in that category. These are the hyperscale providers, and then you have local providers. They all have different level of controls and measures in place, which helps you safeguard the customer data and they have different promises. Now, how they execute their promises is also something which customer would like to know, because there is one aspect is telling me that what you will do, but are you actually doing it? So if you take the case of hyperscale providers, usually the way they do it is they promise that your data is yours, we are not going to use it. And Google is very clear that if you're putting data over there, I'm going to use it for advertising. And when you sign up, you have actually signed on that. When you take, on the other hand, other companies, they will clearly say that no, we don't use your data for any other purposes. Your data is yours. You are the owner. We are not going to use it for monetizing ourselves. Rather, we are charging you for keeping the data. And how do we promise that, and how we demonstrate to you that we are doing it? Through various certifications, third-party audits, and so on. So there is no straight answer to that. To answer your question, it will depend upon the provider and what they are promising you.
I think it's very subjective. It's very subjective. My submission to you will be, being in IT for the last 30 years. I think the question is very subjective. The whole nature of data security is very subjective, as he rightly highlighted. Some places you are signing without even realizing what you are signing. You say the certificate comes. It says you say I agree. You don't even know what you have agreed for, right? But you want to use the solution, so you say I agree. But the point is, the final print is where the devil lies. So my belief is, basis whatever the situation is today, I think no data. Today we are global citizens, not global citizens because we are roaming the globe. Sitting in one country, we are global citizens because our information is all over the place. So according to me, there is no sanctity or 100% assurance today from anybody saying that if I share my data, let's say with Vivek, it is secure, right? Because end of the day, please understand that everything has to be monetized. End of the day, everything is commercial. I mean, let's not be naive about that, right? Everything is commercial. Everything has a tag of value on it. So that's how the whole structure works.
No, then my question to you, then how will the banks then outsource? So that means the banks will never outsource their data?
No, banks will do. For example, I'll again in a limited manner. Just for example, if you go to super apps, or if you go to a portal of a bank, right? Let's say, for example, I'm using online ticket booking solution some place, and I'm going here, I'm going there, and I'm using a bank to make my payments. You'll be surprised when you go to bank site, you'll see the ad of a good offer of a travel agent coming on my page. Now, where is that data coming from, right? How did this guy know that I'm the guy who travels very often? And so there is some kind of a link. The question is, which the banks or anybody can escape out of, is that we are not sharing your email, we are not sharing your mobile number, we are not sharing your this and that. So you are secure, but your activities are being shared, right? So it's like a cloak around the whole thing, right? So they said, no, we don't share our emails. So nobody's calling you and asking you, Vishal, why don't you book ticket from me? Okay, so that's personalization is left. Nobody bothers me personally, but my information is still out, right? That what is my pattern of doing things? I'm just giving you an example of traveling, but more and more this is happening because again, at the end of the day, let's not be naive about one very simple fact that it is all commercial. It all needs to be monetized sooner or later in some shape or form, right?
So that is also scary. That means when AI gets very commercial and when the Googles and the Microsoft compete with each other, so we don't know what will be the limit.
And then goes back to the original thought that data is the next oil.
So it's a common question. Thank you all for the brief and everything. I still believe that AI is very expensive for the organizations. It's not about the big organization like banks and the financial sector, but using for the small businesses, it's not affordable as of now. I hope you all agree with me. Another thing which is missing is, what about the training? You say AI is very dangerous. Of course, I'm in compliance and I know how we are using, and you said, Lakshman Rekha, we have to put the regulatories in place. You are in the banking sector and I'm also from the financial industry. So I know that we have to put the regulatory line which we cannot cross. And we still do the transaction monitoring, which is done by AI, but manually. Because we don't trust completely as of now to AI, because it might some documents which like if it is a payment for anything, like for the loan or anything, we need to go through the agreement. We need to go through the lot of things which is still monitoring. We are doing it. So where the training part comes, I have not seen anybody doing training on AI. How do I know that, okay, this is my draw line? How do I know I'm not supposed to cross the line? So who is taking the responsibility of the training?
See, if I may. See, the advantage of being in banking sector is I don't have to stress about that because regulators will take care of it, right? So I just say, oh, this is a regulator thing, I follow that blindly. But as Rav was rightly highlighted by the panel, this question of yours of validating the documents physically, this is going to become a past very soon. Okay, you will not be required to do that, and in fact, the accuracy of AI doing the job will be far higher than the human. That's going to happen. Right, so somebody, if you have 3 people who are doing the job, probably they'll have to restructure themselves.
But that's going to be very expensive again, Vishal.
Not expensive. Okay, again, expensive is supply and demand issue, right? Yeah. So AI just moved into the market. Now, when again I go back to my original statement that at the end of the day we must understand whatever we do is commercially linked. Now, if you come to a financial institutions or a banking institutions, a cost for me to do an application of a loan, for example, is coming to $10 today, for example, and if I adopt AI, it comes to $3. For me, it's a 5-year TCO. I'm very happy. Just do it, right? So I will not even bother about the cost of AI as we are today. So again, supply demand. Once the demand of AI, and of course AI still has to little more refine itself, maybe in next year or so. Once that refinement happens and the adaptability of AI becomes easier, then this part will become irrelevant. What you're saying right now, right? And now the training part. The beauty of AI is that you don't need inherent training how to use an AI. It is already trained. You just need to feed it information. The output is done. So from your perspective, the only thing you need to know is to how to feed information to the process. That's all you need to know. So it will not be heavy, intensive, training based as you had to do probably in the earlier days. If a machine is given to you, somebody has to tell you how to use Word, somebody has to tell you how to use Excel. Those things will also become the things of the past. Right?
Yeah.
In fact, if your equity and world check becomes AI driven, you don't need these.
No, we have. It's already there.
No.
We are using Equity, Bridger, and World Check,
Huh.
which is already driven. So if I type, for example, if I do 10 research today, and tomorrow it automatically does every day, and it's sending me the reports every day. If there is any match found, for example, if I say true match rejected or false match accepted, if any true match found other than those 10 matches, it will notify me on email. So that's already done. That's a big help to compliance. In fact, I must say, yeah, it's already done. But still, for the banking perspective, as a management company, we still face challenges to identify the signatures.
Yes.
You know, for example, bank doesn't accept. When we say it is being done, checked by AI, they say no, you have to
I
give your
think,
declaration.
Meenakshi, I think the answer to that would be a global KYC. I
Yes,
think
exactly,
we really need
yeah.
to move. And I
Yes,
know once you had also talked
Yes,
about
I
it.
did talk about
We
it in
need to,
my-
because I think currently we are very, very fragmented.
Yes, that is very, very need in Mauritius, the central KYC thing, which is important.
So there are multiple aspects over there. Let's start with cost. Cost, as said, it is about supply and demand. You have a need, you have a business case, you are struggling with the volume of data that you are processing today, your business suffering because of that. You implement AI and you are able to do that with ease. This is definitely not expensive, right? Or if you have a particular requirement where you are struggling to fill in the position because you're not finding the right skills in the market, and you are able to make 1% efficiency go up by using AI and you are able to complete that, then it's not expensive. So that is on the cost side. Training side, again, as I mentioned before, AI need to embed on our day-to-day workflows and apps. If it comes as an additional technology which requires users to get trained on it, then there will be a change management will come into play, and that has got a steep price to pay, both in terms of time and money and energy. But what will be fairly easy is that I am able to use AI without even realizing that I have to learn something new. A quick example would be, imagine you get an email from your customer saying, make me a business proposal, and you have been discussing with that customer since some time, and the Outlook pops up and says, should I create a proposal already? And what the system is doing is it's reading into your CRM system, it's looking into your existing exchange of emails with that customer, it's reading into your documents, what kind of quotations you send to them, and you say yes, and you have a 10-page proposal ready, right? Now you send that proposal to the customer, after a few days he calls you and says, come make me a presentation. You again go to the PowerPoint PPT, point to the document and say, convert this into a 5-page PowerPoint presentation, and it does. Both the things that I mentioned to you right now is available.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? It's available now. So this is all happening, and you see, in order to do that, there was no training required. This was intuitive. This was part of my day-to-day apps, which I'm using and I'm familiar with. No training required, no change management required, no integration required. Now, coming to a question like signature. Now, signature is already outdated because signature is not something which will stay there for long. We are moving towards passwordless era. Even passwords are outdated these days, right? There are better ways to authenticate people using biometric, using other ways and means. If you see today, even if the passwords are no longer applicable, in fact, passwords are more dangerous than having them. The right way to do is you should not have a password. You should have a OTP or a multi-factor authentication connected to your system. Similarly, the things will go on the identity side of human beings.
Just to share something interesting. Yes, sorry. Yeah. Just to just to share, we being an IT house, just to highlight the advancement of this artificial intelligence. We write solutions, so we have to code. We write, lines and lines of code, and people, they are actually engineers, qualified, trained people in specializations in different segments, and they write code. And that code finally comes to realization, customers use it. So recently, which is as recent as around 4 months back, when this chat GPT came out and all that, and we have used components of chat GPT to write a complete code by just telling the chat GPT that this is what we want, and this is what I want. So you give, it's like, you going to a hotel and telling the guy looking at the menu, I want this, and suddenly the dishes are in front of you. We did exactly that, and the whole process was generated, and a perfect code came into play. So we have got into that kind of a level of sophistications where machines are thinking and learning, and that is where the slippage is. But it's nothing to be feared for. I mean, though it sounds very scary, somebody is doing your job in the back end, but it's nothing to be fearful of. But yes, it is good to be aware and cautious about it. Yeah. Sorry. Good question.
I just had one observation and a couple of questions for the panel. The observation actually stems from me being a parent, and I see the new generation actually spending a lot of time on their PCs and trying to generate data out of ChatGPT, and I see that the new generation is now becoming less and less intelligent because of the artificial intelligence. They've lost their power to actually question themselves, and they question the machines more often than the questions themselves. This is an observation. The question that I had was basically, how intelligent actually is artificial intelligence? I mean, as I read it, it seems to be dependent on the data it has been fed on, right? So, is it really that intelligent? Does it have the common sense? I've seen and heard about neural technology trying to now put emotions also into the thought process. But I would like to hear more on that. And second is, how about the ethical issues of its use in certain sensitive areas like, say, healthcare or defense, where I think there needs to be some sort of regulation or some sort of, the green area that you mentioned, which seems to be very critical at this stage for its use to actually be as widespread as we are thinking it to be at this point of time.
If you talk about ChatGPT, I would say this is like the sandbox stage of what the product is, right? And where everybody's trying to understand what is the capability. So that is one thing. Second thing, in terms of accuracy is dependent on how many data points is a particular artificial intelligence tool is being fed, by. The more the data points, the more is the accuracy of the information, right? What kind of data comes in, it needs to be regulated, right? So similar to the TCP/IP protocol on which email is built, you've got the gossip protocol, right? Which is again built on blockchain, where one node, if you feed the gossip protocol to one node of a blockchain, it spreads across multiple nodes and spreads information like an epidemic, so you cannot control that, right? So because it is in a sandbox stage right now, it needs to be regulated based on how it is being utilized and what level of data is coming into it and going out of it, for consumption. So, the simple answer is that, there's an essential need of regulating and controlling how most of these artificial intelligence tools are working. Else, as most of the leaders of the industry say, it could be a potential weapon of mass destruction that we may not be able to control.
Yeah, I add to that. I think the concerns that you have are, I think all parents have it, including me, and I think the rest of the people. The amount of time kids spend on their gadgets today is unprecedented. I think books have also become secondary. reading habits have reduced over time, and gadgets have become the first life. But I think my personal view on this is the education system, the way we knew it, I think is going to be, or rather, it's already moving into historical session. Today, I don't have to remember why India was invaded by XYZ. I don't have to remember that today, right? Earlier, I had to remember it because there was no other means other than go and flip pages of the book. But today, if I want to find out as to what Akbar did in India, I just need to put it on Google and I'll have the whole gist of it. So, because of that shift which is happening here, I think the new generation also which is coming here, they call themselves Generation Z. I think what is happening is the space in their mind is getting emptied from trying to remember information which is not relevant from day-to-day life perspective. Because now you have it. You want that information, the information is there in front of you. As humans adapt and evolve, I think that space which has been created in the mind will start getting utilized into a different segment, a different space of trying to do something more, or probably which we cannot envisage right now sitting here. So while we are concerned about this adaptation of gadgets by our kids, which of course has to be regulated. I'm not saying that it should be free-handed. It has to be regulated, but I don't think there is anything to fear about that, because it is going to become a way of life, and it's going to become a tool for them to grow further on the aspects. Coming specifically to that ethical part which you mentioned of the information that they share, that is where the biggest challenge is. What are they looking at? What is coming popped up? For example, my son sometimes is playing games, and an inappropriate ad, of a game ad pops up on the screen. Fortunately, it is not adult-based, but it is blood-based. People are killing each other and all that stuff. So you don't want that to happen, right? So those are the things that one has to be, mindful of those aspects of as to what kids are watching. I think that is something, as a parent, we do it, and I strongly recommend everybody else that please be very mindful of what is happening on that gadget on a regular basis. But it is going to be a way of life with them. But I personally believe it is. I don't take it as a threat. I think it has become a convenience. Education system is going to change. I'm sure very soon. They don't have to mug up things and keep them in their mind, because everything will be available on a click of a button. And I think that space which gets created will help them probably evolve as humans have always done. I think that is where the adaptation and evolvement will happen. And we will evolve in that place. And again, coming back to the same point, we will come at parity with how AI evolves and how humans evolve. So it will not be that AI will, my belief is that AI will not evolve at cost of humans. I'm very sure of that, because the strength that we have, I think will never go in the times ahead.
So, can I add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So very well said, Vishal. I think just quick points to add on that one. If you see old Hollywood movies, you see there's a spacecraft coming from Mars, and the first thing they do once they land over here is they start killing people. Usually it is other way around. As civilization progresses, the frequency of war has decreased. This is what history tells us, right? So if you're so civilized that you're able to go interplanetary from one planet to another, you are of an intellect level which is so high that you will not start shooting people. So something which relates in our context also, as the civilization progresses and we make the technological advancements, this is possibly for the betterment of society. Vishal already said that the change which we are seeing in the young generation is that they don't have to keep the stuff up there. That mugging culture that we have been part of, where the only way to prove our expertise or intelligence was by telling something which we have read in the book, right? It's not what humans are really, what defines a human. I think humans are more defined by empathy, the emotions, the love and the care that we have for each other. And this is where the space is getting created, while we are leaving the work that machine can do better for them, at the same time enhancing our capability of doing better as a human being.
Yeah. Just to continue what Ritesh was saying, that you are very well saying that the kids had to come out of this mugging thing, right? But there are other aspects, analytical things. Now a boy is given an assignment, he goes to ChatGPT, writes a question, gets the complete coding. Even in coding, if you look for, in colleges, the guys are literally doing the assignment with use of ChatGPT. So that's a big problem for the professors over there also. So how to come out of this situation? That this artificial intelligence is making them less intelligent, I'll say, because they're not putting their own application of mind. So
There are already checks and balances. I know somebody has got an MBA in water and somebody has got something else. I think universities are also becoming smarter on that. But as everybody is saying, mugging is not exactly the best thing that we had. Perhaps they will evolve into, and plus I think this is also a generational thing. Our parents worried about us, we are worried about us children. So I think this will keep happening perhaps.
Yeah, I think, no, but your concern is valid. Because what happens is, what you're saying is I hear you what you say, because you are concerned that the creative strength of a human mind, which is today creating an AI, is going to diminish. Because now you're so dependent on some machine to do the job for you, that part can completely fade off, right? So that part is there, but I was recently reading an article about how I think this is still in infancy stage, where how the universities are now not looking at, because they know ChatGPT and all this is there to stay, it is not going anywhere, and students are going to use it, the good or the bad, whatever you want to say. So in fact, they are now trying to figure out, as we speak, how to adopt these tools as an add-on and as a workable solution along with the kids. So the work on that is already on. So your concern is absolutely on the spot, and it is a concern for all the parents that the guy is going to become a duffer. so but I think the education industry is already on the job. They are doing it.
I just want to say one thing that see, AI is giving us additional information, maybe additional capacities. Now, how much we can absorb and how much we can use, I think that judgment is to be done by us.
You can't absorb it. It's all there. It's a tool. It's a tool.
It's like a car. If you can walk X kilometers just by
See, what I mean to say is that, see, as we all said, that what is AI? AI is additional processing power from the data. You have a data bank, and from there you pick up some learning, which is accumulated learning, and then you give quick answers. Now, I think at the end of the day, the judgment will be along again with the user.
Absolutely.
Whether he is satisfied with that judgment of AI or not. So I think ultimately the judgment power will be required, and I think we'll have to keep a balance between having a AI intelligence and our experiential intelligence. I think unless they are plugged together, we will not come to a final solution.
You're right. I think wherever there is convenience, I think AI will be adopted. For example, smart homes. What is smart home today? I walk into the house, the light switch on, my air conditioner switch on, based on how Vishal come in, my geyser switch is on, my food starts heating up. These are smart home conversations right now today, right? Similarly, if you look at, as you rightly highlighted, today you buy a car. Let's say you buy the state-of-art Mercedes, for example, and the list on the paper says the Mercedes has 20 features. Swear to God, when you drive a car, how many features do you use? You will still put your button to switch on the AC. You will still hold your steering. You will still do the basic stuff. So all this will be around us. But as you rightly say, you will right now. We are in a little, as I said in the beginning, we are a little on a hype mode right now. So the dust has to settle down. Once the dust settles down, you're absolutely right. We will only end up using what matters to us, and the rest will just exist as it is there. Right? All right.
My question is not from the technical side. It's like, besides being a professional, I'm a homemaker too. So my question will be from that aspect. So how does or how can AI can actually benefit a homemaker, which can easily make the life more simpler? I know that you would be telling me that we use the food processors or the robots or cleaning agents in everyday life, but is it something which is much more than that, which we are actually missing? That I wanted to know. Just like Mr. Vivek has just mentioned about the teens feature, which we were not aware of that. So anything at the home front which we are not aware of that, which is really missing out, that we all should know about it?
I'm not a technical person, but I'll take that question. I think you will be partying all through the day. You don't have to be at home. The cooking will be done, cleaning will be done, everything will be done. So that's all.
All you need to do in the morning, just tell what is the menu today, press that button and go out. When you come back, everything is ready. Open it and start having it. It will happen. It's coming there. You have these smart cookers today, right? You have these smart cookers. You put whatever needs to be done, press this, I want this, book, and the damn thing is ready. I mean, whether you like it or not, it's a different conversation. But the point is, they are reaching there. So, more advanced things.
In fact, by 2030, even you don't have to go to a doctor's for his appointment. In fact, you would have, through AI, you can get your diagnosis, medicines will be delivered. A lot of things will happen.
Interesting point. I mean, that's happening today. For example, one of my uncles is in US. So he has something to do with his heart. I mean, his pulse is a little irregular. So over the last 3 years, so they planted some kind of a gadget inside here to monitor his thing. So now what happens is, while in a regular day he is walking, anytime if his heart pulse goes negative, or I mean whichever way, and if it's a pattern, it's happening often, it sends information directly to his doctor. He's not doing it. Doctor, and suddenly he gets a call from the doctor saying, I want to see you tomorrow, because I'm seeing some data which is coming out. So it's happening automatically. So then he goes there, he says, okay, no, reduce this medicine, increase this medicine, blah, 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 whatever. So it's happening, it's already happening. So that is already.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just a question. Hi, thank you for the wonderful presentation. And I just want to share just a little bit of my experience with ChatGPT and with Bard. I decided some time back that I didn't want to just do it by trial and error. So I went on a course, on a training, so I can learn how to write the prompt in a better way. One part of the training was to do, there was a challenge where we were asked to write an ebook over the weekend. Now, I've never written an ebook, but I decided to just take it. I thought I'd just type in something and the ChatGPT would just give it to me, and then I'll just put it together, and by Monday it would be ready. But when I started doing it, I was disappointed in one way. Also, I was fascinated because it did give me text, but it was not a text that my brain was willing to accept.
Yes.
In the sense that it was not something that I thought someone who has been in the industry, I mean the financial service industry, with my experience, with my expertise, I felt this looks childish.
You're right. Wait for the next level.
No, I've used it, I've gone on, and I did carry on with the challenge, and I did finish the ebook, but I added a lot of myself into it, and then people start telling me, hey guy, you know what, you're an author now. I felt good about it, so I went through it.
Right.
So I'm sharing it with my customers, with my clients now. But the other thing is, I'm using it, I would say on a day-to-day basis, whenever it's needed, to maybe write something or come up with a better idea. But again, you need a lot of human input still at this stage to make it good. But a question that I had for you is the central bank, I mean the Bank of Mauritius has announced that it's going to come up with a digital currency, right? And my question is, if you're aware whether AI is being used to add any kind of security or value to the digital currency. My concern is with the cryptocurrency that we have, which is itself subject to a lot of volatility and security problems, an unregulated AI adds a lot more dimension of, make it more vulnerable. So like with the Bank of Mauritius as a government body coming up with digital currency, but AI is not regulated yet, I don't know whether it's being used or not.
It is staying within the boundaries of the confidentiality or whatever it is. Yes, not only Bank of Mauritius, but a lot of other central banks are coming up with digital currency. In fact, in Africa, Central Bank of Nigeria is the first one who's already come. They've already issued in the market. Now, a lot of regulatory requirements for these digital currencies are coming from IMF and World Bank. So they are the ones who are defining the boundaries of their operational green zones, as I say. And within that, everything is being done. But it is all being done with a very strict process to avoid any misuse of it. And also when it comes, digital currency does come in the beginning of the pilot project, it will be very limited within central banks itself before it comes into the public domain. But yes, to answer your question, it is being monitored and defined and guided by the big IMF and World Bank.
Just one point to add, all stable coins, CBDCs, are pegged to the fiat currency.
Yes.
Right, so I mean, in terms of volatility, it will be controlled by the fiat currency, the underlying fiat currency.
Okay, I think
the concern is not the volatility, it's more to do with the risk factors associated with the digital currency.
Right.
Even Bitcoins are stored in the wallet. And
Exactly. The good thing is,
this will be
I think we'll take it separately. I think because there is, thanks a lot Vivek, Vishal and Sandeep. I have a special announcement. I invite Mr. Sanjeev Gupta and his team to demonstrate the L&T team's capability in 3D printing. Just a quick one. Sorry for the time.
Just give me one.